Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a advanced leveling guide. So leveling, when you first look at it, seems really straightforward, but there's actually a lot of things and thought that are put into when to level and why you should level at certain intervals. So leveling as a whole, you're going to be looking for eco, how much money am I going to have after leveling, how much money can I make in the future, HP, how much HP can I save units, what units can I potentially hit at higher levels, and setting yourself up for future intervals and levels by making key interval gold. But most games, you're going to be level 5 on 2.5, 6 on 3.2, 7 on 4.1, and 8 on 5.1. There's definitely times you can level off tune, and I'll cover that in the video. But just a quick disclaimer, I actually tried to record this for like the past 2 hours, and it's really hard because there's so much info to cover, and I can't help to feel like I'm just rambling. But I promise there's a lot of good info, and I do recommend if you didn't catch it the first time, just rewind real quick, or even 0.75x it, because I know people were saying that I talk really fast. But anyway, early game, it's the most important to play around streaks because money is super important in the early game. I think I stress this in all my videos, but the key gold intervals that you should be looking for are 10 on 2.5, which is post carousel. Post carousel, you should be making 2.5 either level 5, or you should be making 20 without leveling. I can actually put that in win streak, 20 lose streak. 30 on 3.2 almost always. It could be 40 on win streak, but there's going to be, you want to be greater than 10 gold if you're leveling to 8 on 4.5, which literally sets you up for level 9, or gives you the perfect amount to level 9 with a decent amount of money to roll, and also greater than 20 gold to roll at 5.1 because you actually need some money to roll. But that's not as important as these first two, and I'll cover them later. So the game first starts and you're on 2-1 and you're starting to debate, hey, am I going, you should come up with a game plan. Hey, am I going to go for a win streak or am I going to go for a lose streak? If I'm going to go for a lose streak, is it possible for me to make 10? If I'm able to make 10 on 2-1 and my board is garbage and I don't have good items, I'm probably going to be looking for a lose streak. That's almost always. But if your board is actually strong and you have slammable items that can contest a win streak into the early game, I would almost always do it. You always do it. When you're looking to win streak, you would level on 2-1, 2-4, and start building up your streak. So if you win 2-1, you can basically go 5 streak into neutrals, which is 3 gold, versus 4 streak, which is only 2 gold. And it's actually an extra gold because you're streaking into neutrals. Not only that, but if you win post krugs, you get even an extra gold versus, like, anyway, you just make infinite gold for streaks. So it's 2-1. And as soon as it's 2-1, you actually want to establish a game plan. If you had a 6 gold opener, there's a lot of times that you can actually pre-level. And the reasons to pre-level is you're looking for the potential 2-star 2-cost chosen. But not only that, but you're also looking for key units. For example, if you find Fortune Tahm Kench, and by the way, Fortune early game is really broken if you get it 2-1. But if you can find Fortune Tahm Kench, you want to pre-level because you're looking for Jinx, Katarina, and Annie. But you see at level 3, there's a 25% chance for each slot to be a 2-cost, and there's a 0% chance for 3 costs, right? I'll link this in the comments, by the way. Also, if you were to be level 4, you would have 30% chance to be finding a 2-cost, which is going to be your Annie, and you have a 15% chance to find in each slot a 3-cost unit, which can potentially be Jinx or Katarina. But the same goes for, like, let's say a Elise opener. You have Elise TF and you're looking for Pyke, Callista, or Eve for 3 cultist. It's the same thing. You can actually, if you have like Elise upgraded, TF upgraded, be like, hey, like I have 2 upgraded units, maybe I want to go for a win streak. You can actually go ahead and pre-level and look aggressively for the Pyke, Eve, and Callista. There's also value in just finding like the 3-stars or like the higher cost units earlier, especially when your 1-costs are upgraded. But usually you do this on a win streak when you're looking to win streak. For example, if I have Elise upgraded and TF upgraded, or no, let's do a different example. Let's say I have Garen upgraded and Wukong upgraded. Because these are 1-star units and the chances of 1-stars go down on 4, I don't mind pre-leveling because that board can easily contest win streak. Let's say I pair it with like a Zed. Let's say I pair it with an Akali. Let's say I pair it with a Pyke. Those units are going to be a lot better than a standalone Nidalee. But usually you only want to do this when you're looking for a win streak. And a lot of times you can be win streaking. And another indicator for win streaking is items. So for example, the difference between Garen with Sunfire and Garen with Sunfire is like an extra 2 units. No cap. It's like Garen 2 plus Wukong plus let's say Diana. That board is trash unless you have Sunfire on Garen. Then that board is broken. Like, you're going to win almost every round if that board had specific items. On 2-1, you basically only level on 2-1 when you're actively looking for a win streak. A lot of times you're actually not sure whether your board can win streak or lose streak. For example, or not even that. Like, you're not sure it win streaks or lose streaks, but even like it's like a 50-50, like, or I guess you're just not sure. So a lot of times you can actually go into 2-1 not leveled, and then if you win, you evaluate and you put in the same thought process on what units am I trying to hit. Am I trying to hit the 1 stars? Am I trying to hit the 2 stars? Most of the time though, you always want to be 4 on 2-2 if you won 2-1, because you want to push for a win streak. Even if you can make 10, if you can level for a stronger board, you almost always do it, because you get 1 gold for winning the round, and you also get 1 extra gold for the 2 win streak. The thought comes from whether you want to pre-level on 2-2 or actually just level on 2-2 after you see your shop. In the notes, it says 1-2-1 and you're looking to push your streak. If you win 2-1, you almost always want to win 2-2, unless you won 2-1 with like someone else that's opening. For example, if you have the most garbage board, Elise TF, and you're greeting 10, just because you won 2-1, if you don't get any upgrades into your next shop, you're probably not going to go for the level on 2-2, and you just sack the win and go for a lost streak into Carousel. The next one is going to be 2-3, which is a natural. If you pump no EXP into leveling, you're still going to level to 2-3 natural. And usually you're leveling to 2-3 naturally when you lost 2-1, and then there's no reason to go 4 on 2-2, because if you lose, you make a gold. If you win, you don't, like, saving HP doesn't even do anything, because you actually get better Carousel priority, which is more valuable than any HP you could have saved. So losing 2-1 and making 10 at 2-2 is really viable. And then on 2-3, if you lose, you can potentially look for a lose streak post Carousel. But anyway, this is going to be all of your level 4 scenarios, and now I'm going to move on to level 5. So the most common level 5 is 2-5, which is post Carousel, which is a perfect interval. And the reasons you want to push 2-5 is you push for higher units, especially if you don't have a chosen. You can look for it. The reason I wouldn't do it though is if you're on a 3 loss streak and there's no way you're going to be able to win 2 rounds in a row. If you're on a 3 loss streak and you go ahead and find upgrades, you can potentially go for a 2 win into neutrals, because it just saves HP and it cuts the bleeding. But that's only if you're contesting win streak. If you still don't hit any upgrades and you don't hit a decent chosen, you might as well lose. And if you lose and you're on a 4 lose, you better force lose streak into neutrals. Like, a lot of times on my stream, if I win before neutrals by accident, I just say it's an 8th, because it's honestly, you're losing so much money. You're low on HP, you're low on money, the game's an 8th. But anyway, 2-6, 2-7 is a special case. I'll slowly cover it. A lot of times I'll pre-level on 2-6 to 2-7 when I'm open fording and I actually need to hold a unit to beat Krugs. For example, if I'm greeting 30 eco on 2-5 and I have, let's say, I always use the Elise TF example because Cultist is one of the best openers. If I have Elise TF and they're all 1-starred and I'm playing 3 out of 4 and I'm greeting 30 eco and I see like a pike in my 2-6 shop, I'm probably going to buy it pre-level and then not make the eco, but at least I can kill Krugs. Another reason to do it is if you won 2-5 by accident and you see a decent shop and you see your board has potential to win the next round, you can actually go ahead and scout, because you can't play the last 4 opponents. So you can see if you leveling would give you a win 66% of the time, because there's only 3 people you can beat. And then you would probably level and try to go to a 2 streak into neutrals, which is really valuable, because not only do you get the 2 streak into neutrals, but also on 3-1, if you win that round, you get an extra gold as well, because you continue your streak. But anyway, you're almost always leveling on 3-1 to cut the bleeding. You usually level to 3-1 when you should only be level 5 on 3-1 when you're lose streaking. And this is just to cut the bleeding. You get to kill some units. If you win the round, so be it. It doesn't matter. You have enough money to start holding units, playing strongest board, and contesting a win streak. But anyway, sorry. This is going to be like probably the most rambly the video will be, because the game it gets more solved as you get more and more levels. But level 6, it's the most common is 3-2 because it's a perfect interval. But almost always you're going to level to 6 at 3-2 if you have greater than 30 gold. If you can greed 50 and you're on a lose streak, I would. For example, if you're 50 gold, but if you were to level to 6 and you're going down to 38, which is pretty common, because if you make perfect 40 on a lose streak, you're going to make perfect 50, and then you level and you're going to be 38. But anyway, if you have nothing to add in at 3-2, you can actually greed 50 for 1 round and then just look to 3-3 it. Even though it's off interval, you're only going to lose 1 gold because it's going to be 12, but because you're on a lose streak and you're greater than 50 gold, you dip down to 40 and you play another unit. But anyway, just know that you can actually 3-3 it a lot of times, only if you have nothing to play. If you have something to play, I would generally recommend it, but it gets a little tricky to give you general tips when there's streaks to be involved. So if I'm on like a 6 streak and I can greed, even if I have a good unit to play, I probably will just greed it. Sometimes you can level on 3-1 if you are going for a max win streak. Like for example, the other win streak in the lobby is weaker than you only if you level. You have a 33% chance of beating him, and your board is ridiculous if you were to level. But it's rare. You better be making at least 20, and you better keep your streak. If you scout and you see you're weaker, even level 6, if you level to 6 and you lose the game, you just threw the game. You basically threw away your 5-win streak. But if you were to, but anyway, yeah, 3-3 you can also sack for Carousel, and you're on lose streak, and it's cheap to level this turn. But 3-5, it's if you're basically going to be slow rolling on 6, or you had absolutely nothing to put in 3-2 and 3-3, which is really rare. But sometimes it is like that. And this is just another disclaimer. I'm not going to be covering, this is more so the fast 8 comps, which is going to be like Ash or Brawler Ash or Dusk Riven. I think the reroll comps have different level timings because you're going to be slow rolling on 5, 6, or 7. So this guide's just going to be for that. But anyway, level 7, gonna go ahead and go for level 7. You only level to 7 on 3-5 if you basically had a gold opener and you can make greater than 30 on 3-5. A lot of times you almost always level on 3-5 if you have greater than 30 gold and you have no chosen. If you have no chosen, you're going to do it 100% of the time. If you have no chosen and greater than 30 gold, you're going to level here every time because you have the opportunity to find a 2-star 4 cost, and then that'll just get you a fast 8, fast 9. Also, a lot of times if you level on 3-5, you most likely want to go 8 on 4-5 because you're losing not as much money. But if the board is fully upgraded and you're going 8 on 4-5, for example, if I'm win streaking mid game with, let's say, Garen, Wukong, Jarvan, Nidalee, which is just warlords, and you have a random Katarina, like all those units are so garbage as you go later and later into the game, but they're so strong early game. And in order to get your board stronger, you have to roll all your gold. Chances are you're probably just going to go 8 at 4-5 and roll at 4-5 or 5-1. But yeah, and another way is if your board gets significantly stronger. For example, like 4 Brawler, putting in 4 Brawler, putting in a fully upgraded unit, putting in like Elderwood for Maokai 2, Nunu 2, or something like that. But the most common is going to be 4-1, and you level in either roll, or you 8 at 4-5, or you 8 at 5-1. But a lot of times it's just level roll, and you can debate slow rolling and level at 8. Gonna move on to level 8. But like, see, the reason it gets less and less convoluted is because earlier level timings kind of set up your game. So 4-5, if you level to 8 on 4-5, it's because you slow rolled on 4-1 to 4-3, and you actually have enough money on 8 and HP to like sack a few rounds. But you were to go 4-5 for a key synergy, or you're getting low and you can't afford more losses, which is basically just key synergy. But a lot of times you can also level to 8 with greater than 30 gold. That's if you high rolled the early game units. But the most common is going to be 5-1, and you just roll until stable, balance HP. And a lot of times you actually want to stay above 10, because if you stay above 10 here, sometimes you have to donkey roll because your HP is low or your board is too weak. But if you stay above 10 after you roll down on 5-1, a lot of times you can set yourself up for 9 at 6-2. And another tip is if your board is capped unless legendaries, for example, your entire board is upgraded, all of the 3 stars or the 3 costs and the 4 costs are upgraded except for like maybe your 5 costs, like such as Zillion, Kane, Set, you might as well just sit. Like if everything is upgraded except for Cassiopeia, you're not going to sit here and roll for a Cassiopeia. You might as well just 9 at 5-5. But yeah, 9 at 5-5 is when you're Omega high rolling, playing board that can cup leading and needs infinite gold to pivot out. So a lot of times when you're 5-5, your board is actually just going to be stuck with the Garen, Nidalee, Jarvans. It's just going to be a board like such as 6 cultists. It's usually 6 cultists as the game goes later and later. A lot of times you're leveling to 5-5 with extra gold, with greater than 30 gold, and you can actually sit. And the reason 30 gold is really good for a lot of these intervals is because when you go into neutrals, you're still going into neutrals with max eco. And then you can actually start selling your chosen, selling the cultists, and start slow rolling above 50 to like make the transition less difficult. 6-1, you usually 6-1 it when you're in between 1 to 2 lives, less than 20 HP, and you want to spike and maximize your chances of 2 lives. For example, on 6-1, if you take 5 unit loss, you're going to take 20 damage. But if you only take a 3 unit loss, which is maybe the difference of you putting in an extra unit, I would almost always level on 6-1. But if you're like greater than 22 HP, I think 22 HP is a cutoff because it's almost impossible to get 7-0'd. I would just 6-2 it. You gain 10 gold because you gain the 4 gold from a perfect interval, and you also gain an extra 5 gold from the eco. And 10 gold to roll on 9 is insane because your roll odds on 9 are nuts. But yeah, that's the general guide. I hope it was helpful. I think the early game is the most important thing to think about. And it definitely gets more and more boring as you go later and later because it's pretty much you just play the game. But hopefully I can help you guys a little bit about your early game. And that is it. I'm probably going to make an item slamming guide eventually, but I've been kind of lazy.